Hi, everybody, and welcome to On Scene with the Clark County Fire Department. I'm Scotty Allen. For those of you that know me, I was with the Clark County Fire Department for 21 years as a firefighter, paramedic, engineer, and rounded out my career as the public information officer. This show, On Scene, we did it before on Channel 4 here at CCTV, and I'm so happy to be back doing the show once again. Today I wanted to brighten up the studio a little bit, so I invited two of my favorite women from the Clark County Fire Department, Deputy Fire Chief Kelly Blackmon and Assistant Fire Chief Jen Wyatt. Hi ladies, how are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for doing that, so really appreciate it. So on the program today, I just wanted to touch a little bit and talk about women in the fire service. And so I thought of you two first when I thought about doing a show about females and pursuing a career in the fire service. So Chief Blackmon, let me start off with you. And I have to look at the list because it's long. You moved to Las Vegas from California in 1977. You have a bachelor's in English, master's in public administration. You were hired by the Clark County Fire Department in 1995. You started in administration working in communications and life support and rural divisions, right? So what was the life support? Explain that a little bit. What was that?
That's our air room, and they're the two people that now staff it. It was one when I first started. They work on our air packs, our self-contained breathing apparatus.
Okay, got that. All right. You also were involved with human resources and recruitment for a while. So you were involved in people that wanted to apply for the fire department to become firefighters.
Correct.
Yeah. How long did you do that?
Just a couple of years before I promoted to a fire inspector.
Okay. In 1999, you promoted into fire prevention, where you were a fire inspector trainee, then became a certified fire inspector. And I think that was around the time that you and I actually first met and started doing a lot of different projects together. On the fire department. You were also part of the hazardous materials inspection team.
Yes.
I was never crazy about hazmat. Too many chemicals, too many long names I couldn't pronounce.
Right.
But you did that for a while as well.
Yes, I did. It was very interesting. Very interesting.
So your certifications include an NFPA Fire Inspector 1 and 2, ICC Uniform Fire Code Inspector and Fire Inspector 2, and Nevada State Fire Marshal Fire Inspector 1. In 2002, you were a graduate from the Clark County Leadership Forum. In 2003, you promoted to Senior Management Analyst, where you managed the department budget. You also received a Grants Management Certificate in support of the Nevada Task Force 1, which is the FEMA team. So that entitled you to apply for grants? Is that what that was?
It basically helps us overall manage the grant. So we apply for the grant every year, and then we have to manage it within the parameters of the grant.
So are you still involved with FEMA at all?
Yes, I oversee our current grants manager.
Okay, fine. So even though that is a federally based program, you still have to apply for funding or grants?
Correct. We apply every year for our operational readiness grant, and then we also apply or receive the deployment grants when we go for hurricane deployments or flooding or anything around the United States. We get a grant for that's a separate grant, but it's still in support of our USAR deployment.
Okay, and you got to be so proud of Nevada Task Force 1, our FEMA team here locally. Have they been deployed recently?
Yes, we've recently deployed to a couple of different hurricanes. Okay. We did also a state deployment up to the UNR explosion when that happened up there a few months back. We deployed up there. It was a small team, but we did deploy up there. We also deployed to the Camp Fire in California.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to be pretty proud of those guys.
Absolutely. They do a phenomenal job, all of them. We have a great team. We have a great management of the team, and they do phenomenal work with very little budget.
You attended the National Fire Academy focusing on fire service financial management and executive planning. You and I attended a couple of classes. We did. Back at the Fire Academy. 2010, you were promoted to Deputy Fire Chief over fire prevention. For 2 years, you served actually as the Fire Marshal for Clark County. Yes. I didn't know that, and I was so impressed when I read that.
Yes, it's a tough job, but it's very rewarding.
So since 2012, you've directed the finance and administration of the fire department, right? You currently oversee the department's capital and operating budgets.
Yes.
Who handles the checkbook at home?
Yes.
Poor John.
Yes.
Poor John. You've also been accepted into the Executive Fire Officer Program at the National Fire Academy. Congratulations. You're married to your husband, John, who I love to death, and you have 2 kids, Nicholas and Kristen.
Yes.
Right?
And now a grandbaby.
And now a grandbaby.
Yes, my first one. Thank you.
Well, your accolades and your accomplishments are just amazing, and that's all the time we have. Thanks for watching. No, you and I, we attended a week-long exercise together back at the Fire Academy. I always enjoyed being there, back there, just a beautiful campus and a beautiful part of the country back there. And you can't help but learn while you're there.
Right. Right. It's great to go back there because you get a lot of different experiences. It's not just about Southern Nevada or the West. You're talking to people from all over, firefighters, public information officers, people from all over the United States. So it's a really great learning experience.
And when I was promoted to the public information officer by Chief Smith at the time, I took local classes here and I got a local certification for PIO. But what I learned here and what I learned there was just, oh my gosh, it was just amazing.
Right.
You know, and then I became FEMA certified for public information and nationally certified as well. It was a good time. Now, Jen, in 2001, Chief Wyatt, you were hired as a firefighter.
I was.
You also volunteered your time with the department's benefit association. So explain that. Tell people at home what that is exactly.
As soon as I graduated from Rookie School, I got approached by our benefit association membership, and basically that is a volunteer group within the organization, the Local 1908. And we pitch in $10 a month basically to buy amenities that the county does not provide for our 24-hour living arrangements in the fire stations. Mm-hmm. So I got asked to come over to be the treasurer of that association to manage the money that gets brought in by the members and make the purchases necessary for all the stations.
So to break it down, basically, if a station needs a new refrigerator or a new television or whatever, mm-hmm. they have to go through the association to get that.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
And you can say yay or nay, right?
Yes.
Yes. In 2006, you promoted to fire engineer. You also taught a rookie school.
Yes, I did. I had the honor of being able to go in as a firefighter paramedic and teach in the Recruit Academy.
Mm-hmm. And in 2004, you went to paramedic school.
I started in October 2003.
2003,
mm-hmm.
went to paramedic school, all right. And then in 2016, you actually promoted to fire captain.
I did, yes.
Look at you now, girl.
I know.
That's amazing.
Lucky me.
And this past September, you were promoted to assistant fire chief. That's just amazing. That has to be a thrill for you. I know that you've earned it. You worked hard for it. You and I, we've known each other for a long time, and we worked together at Station 22 over on West Flamingo for a long time. So I know you. When you first came on, I remember you as a rookie firefighter. You were a scrapper.
Yes.
You could definitely hold your own, especially on the fire ground. So you were also involved with the Firefighters Union for many years.
I was.
Okay. You sat on the executive board as well. Also the PERS board, which basically handles retirees, like me. You chaired the Proud to Rescue Benevolent Fund. Explain what that is.
So Local 1908 decided to start a nonprofit, and the union president at the time, Ryan Beeman, asked me to do the paperwork to get the Benevolent Fund started. Mm-hmm. And it's a 501c3, and it was a way for us to give back to our members that were in need as well as community. So we did the paperwork, we got the 501c3, and we started what we called Proud to Rescue Clark County Firefighters, Local 1908 Benevolent Fund, longest name ever. Mm-hmm. So we shortened it to Proud to Rescue. Okay. We do various different fundraisers, usually the t-shirts. You'll see our men and women on the fire department floor who are wearing, as point in case this month, the pink shirts mm-hmm. for cancer. So cancer awareness shirts, we would sell those shirts, and the profit we made would go into the Proud to Rescue Benevolent Fund. Half of the money that we raised during Proud to Rescue October Cancer Awareness Month goes to a charity of our choice. that has something to do with cancer, and we stay local with that charity donation. We don't go national.
And you said part of that is also a scholarship fund?
We do. We also have a scholarship fund. For every line of duty death, we give $500 to the scholarship fund foundation, and we have, I think we had over 100 applications last year that we go through, and I sit on that committee too and go through the scholarships and pick awardees, and we have a dinner where we award them their $500 scholarship to stay here locally as well.
Very nice. And for 5 years, you were the union's second vice president overseeing the EMS.
Correct.
And now that you're promoted to assistant fire chief, you're over the EMS program with the fire department, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. And so is there still EMS supervisors that are working the streets?
Nope, those positions got eliminated. We just have an EMS coordinator right now.
Okay. And so your duties being over EMS, because I know that is the highest majority of the call volume for the fire department, is paramedic and medical calls. Correct. So what are some of your duties?
Basically in charge of everything related to EMS, making sure we have all the equipment that we need to service the calls through the health district, the inventory, narcotics, and making sure we have a training division as well, EMS training division. And those guys make sure that all of our paramedics and AEMTs and basics are trained every year to their certification. It's just some of the stuff that we do.
Busy, busy, busy.
Always.
Does that include the volunteer stations on the outskirts of?
Yes, our training instructors also train all of the volunteers as well. Yes. So.
Okay. Chief Blackmon, I want to bounce back to you. With your degrees, what drew you to the fire service? Because what you have your degrees in, you could have gone in a lot of different directions. Why the fire service?
So I actually got my master's degree after I came to the fire service. But I applied for the county, and I was lucky enough to get with the fire department to start with. That was my first job with the county, and ever since then I fell in love. So everything that I've done has been fire centered. I did prevention for a while, loved that. That's, a big place in my heart is with prevention. And then just whatever the fire service needed from me is what I would give.
Chief Castle, he was here on our last show here on Scene, and under his leadership and administration, I believe the Clark County Fire Department is definitely moving in the right direction for visitors and residents alike. With that forever changing infrastructure here in Clark County, where do you see the department going? Are we on track? Are we a little behind?
Well, we're certainly, funding is always an issue. So where we're going is a good direction. We just have to make sure that we can grease the wheels to get there. The funding is always an issue, and we're going to have amazing special events just going crazy over the next few years with the Raider Stadium opening, the new Sphere that's opening. Just lots of different things going on, and our personnel are being pulled in so many different directions. So we need to find some creative ways how to staff those events and make sure that they're the safest that they can be.
So if you need a new fire station to cover an area or you hire new firefighters, you're involved in that process as well, right?
Absolutely.
Because it all comes back to budget, pretty
Absolutely.
much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you if it is difficult at times moving forward, and apparently sometimes it is.
Always, yes.
All right, we're going to take a little break right now, but stay with us. We'll be back with more On Scene and the Clark County Fire Department.
Severe weather can destroy a home in seconds. There's no time to think, only time to act. Have a kit so you're ready for any emergency. Develop a plan for what you and your family will do before disaster strikes. And stay informed during severe weather any way you can. It can be the difference between losing your possessions and losing your life. Just ask the owners of this house.
Visit weather.com/ready and let the Weather Channel help you prepare your family for emergencies.
Could your child ever become a drowning victim?
Not my child.
Take a second, protect the child.
Would you ever leave your child alone in the bathtub?
Not my child.
Take a second, protect the child.
Would you ever leave your child unattended?
Not my child.
Don't let your dreams become a nightmare.
Take a second, protect the child.
Welcome back to On Scene. I'm Scotty Allen. With me in the studio today is Deputy Fire Chief Kelly Blackmon and Assistant Fire Chief Jen Wyatt. So, Kelly, I wanted to come back to you. When Chief Castle was here, we kind of ran out of time and we didn't get to talk about the Raiders, but in our first segment today, you mentioned the Raiders. So logistically, what kind of impact is that going to have with the Raiders coming to town?
Well, we're not entirely sure.
Okay.
It's going to be a new process for us. One thing that we have learned from going around to some of the other NFL stadiums is that everybody does it a little bit differently because everybody's community is a little bit different. And so how it impacts the community is different. So we need to, we have some plans in mind. We definitely have some good thoughts in mind. But with the parking away from the stadium the way it's going to be, we're buying some equipment that the Raiders have given us funding to purchase specifically for the stadium, and then we're going to kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. We're going to have a command presence in the stadium, and Jen can actually probably speak to this better than I can, but we're going to have a command presence there so that should something happen, we have people on the ground right away so that they can start assessing the situation, letting everybody know where they need to be, and then asking for additional resources if they need to right away.
So Chief Wyatt, is that going to call for extra manpower and crews and extra paramedics?
It is. Right now, what we've been doing on any special event over 15,000 in attendance, which obviously the stadium is going to be well above that. We put a command officer, either a captain or a battalion chief, in command with Metro and the resources at the stadium or T-Mobile, like where we currently do. And that's just for having that on-scene control of what's going on before the units that are around at the stations come in. So it's kind of like being in the fire control room. Remember when you would report to the fire control room?
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing, but we're on scene when the event's going off. So we've got the screens, we've got the information, we're all in one room. So if they want any kind of information coming in, we provide that for them.
So you're ready to go for any type incident then?
Absolutely. So we'll basically become an information liaison officer in the fire control room as they're coming in to provide them the best access, the most up-to-date information. And then if they need any resources from Metro, I'm sitting right next to that person providing them the resource request until they unify outside. Once they're unified outside, then basically, again, just providing them any information they're asking for.
So basically then, with your responsibilities over this, you'll have to be at the stadium for every home game?
No.
Oh.
So that will actually go to our fire captains and battalion chiefs.
Okay.
I did it as a fire captain, and we're going to continue that with the Raider Stadium. Depending, like I said, on the crowd and what we're expecting, and just like Chief Blackmon said, that's really going to change and evolve. So, after we get that first event under our belt, we may change things up a little bit. But we've ordered gators or carts that we're going to have Metro and fire on, just in case we have any kind of hostile response, as well as we can put fire skids on these carts. So if we have a car fire, we can get there and get it contained until we can get an engine there, because we know access will kind of be some of an issue in response time, so it doesn't become a bigger problem.
Sounds like you have a pretty good handle on it.
I believe we do. We have a good start, but we know it's going to change, and we're going to adapt as each event goes. Hot wash every game, every event that we go to, and try to get better the next time.
Good to know. Good to know. Let's go back to 2001. What made you want to become a firefighter?
At the time, I was actually a controller for a government contractor here in town, Department of Defense, and I worked hand in hand with the different groups because I was in charge of payroll, and one of the groups was the fire department that worked out in Area 51. The fire chief used to come in all the time to talk to me about things, and he got to know me and how active I was, and with volleyball and running and coaching, and he asked me if I had ever thought about going to the fire service, and I said no, and he explained it to me and let me come in and do basically the fitness test for them. And I was hooked. I said, "You guys get paid to do this? Where do I sign up?" So I got lucky enough.
With it traditionally being a male career, it's nice to see that there are a lot more females entering the fire service all across the country.
There are, and we are actually November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd putting on Women in the Fire Service seminar, and it's already sold out. We have 50 women who have signed up for the seminar, and all of the jurisdictions here in town, fire departments, are coming together as a collaboration to basically give them an introduction of what it takes and what fire service career looks like, and that they can do this.
And any challenges or hurdles being a female firefighter that you had to deal with?
No, I mean, I think it's a very welcoming career. You just have to, make sure that you aren't too sensitive and that you work hard just like everybody else does. And it can be a very rewarding career for you.
I think with firefighters, the consensus basically is it doesn't matter if your partner is male or female. If you go down, you just want to make sure your partner can pull you out in a fire or a life-threatening situation. So I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah, our recruit academies train you to know the proper procedures and know how to get you and your partner out of there to the best of your ability. They make sure of that prior to graduation.
So what would you say to women right now that are watching that might want to look at a career in the fire service?
I think the biggest thing is that you can do it, and it's the mental aspect. Stay positive and continue to work hard, and you can be a firefighter as well.
So I wanted to touch on something with both of you. As firefighters and paramedic, you deal with some really horrific calls. And I still have calls in my head that I will probably never be able to shake. We recently observed the second anniversary of the 1 October shootings. Chief Castle on this very program emotionally expressed that night and how proud he was of the crews that responded. We discussed it in some length with the time that we had, and we talked about not only the paramedics and the firefighters that responded and were on scene, the countless lives they saved, but also just total strangers becoming heroes of the night, and saving lives. How do you move forward from a night like that?
We really came together as a community, in my opinion, and then we went right back to work. That was actually one of the positions that I went into as the Fusion Center captain, and we integrated with the MAGTech personnel at Metro, and we looked at our policy and went straight into revision to try to make that better so we could actually be more effective. God forbid there was any other event like that happen here in Las Vegas.
Yes. Terrible night. We should never forget what happened 2 years ago, and we should never forget the victims of that tragic night. Chief Blackmon, a lot of changes with the fire department over the years. Just a question, and I hope it's not a sensitive topic, but is fire prevention separated now from the fire department, or how is that working?
It is. Fire prevention about 6 years ago now, I think, moved over to the building department, so it's building and fire prevention. And I guess it all depends on who you ask. I think things are going well. I think them being co-located there has been very beneficial for contractors in general. I've heard some really good things from the contractors, that they like the fact that they can go take care of their building permits and their fire permits all at the same time, and they can speak to who they need to speak to without going to two different places. So I think that part has been really beneficial. And so, and that's really what we're here to do, is to serve the community. And if that's what the contractors want, then certainly that's what we will provide.
And we just built a new home a little over a year ago, and I found it really nice to have everything under one roof. When we were pulling permits to build and having to go through fire prevention to get certain permits and plans checking and all that stuff, it was quite convenient. October is Fire Prevention Month. Fire Prevention Week goes back to the Chicago fire and Mrs. O'Leary's cow or whatever.
Allegedly.
We used to have so much fun teaching the kids. Are those programs still going on?
Not to that extent. Back in the day when I was in fire prevention and we were working together, you and I, we brought all the kids into the training center, and we did a big educational, we set them up in different tents, and we did education there, and we had puppets, and we had coloring books, and we had, stop, drop, and roll, and all of those things. And now it's more decentralized. We send a lot of crews out to the schools because it's harder to bring people to our one location, so we go out to them. And I think it works pretty well. It's a big draw on our services during the month of October, but it's well worth it because we do get out into the schools, and younger age kids get to see a firefighter in full uniform, in full gear. At our last open house, one of our captains put on his full gear and climbed up the ladder on the ladder truck. And the kids were very nervous around them. A lot of them wouldn't go up to him and that kind of thing because they don't understand what this guy with this big mask and this big helmet and all of these clothes on, they don't understand what that means, and they get scared. And so it's good for them to see that and interact.
I remember that's one of the things we used to teach the young kids is the friendly firefighter, not to be afraid of that big thing that looks like Darth Vader.
Right.
Thank you so much for doing this today. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate what you both do too. And I'm
Thanks,
so
Scotty.
proud of you.
Thanks,
You
Scotty.
climbed that ladder and look where you're at now. That's great.
Thanks, Scotty.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of On Scene with the Clark County Fire Department. I'm Scotty Allen. If you'd like more information about the Clark County Fire Department, just go to clarkcountynv.gov and just search the fire department on that link there. You'll be able to get all the information you need. If you're looking for open houses or anything going on with the schools, or as the ladies were talking about, if you are planning a career in the fire service, that's a good place to start with that website. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody here at CCTV Channel 4, my guys here in the studio. We will see you next time on Scene with the Clark County Fire Department.